When we think about care policies, our eyes tend to glaze over, right? But what if I told you these documents are actually like an operating system for compassionate care? We're going to break that down today. This isn't about some boring manual, it's a blueprint for making sure respect and dignity are front and center. So here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with planning for dignity and the tough stuff. What happens when a death occurs? Then we'll flip the script to talk about your power, your right to disagree, and how to make sure you're heard. And we'll wrap up by tying it all together to see why this is so important. All right, first section, planning for dignity. And let's be clear, this is all about being proactive. It's not about waiting until there's a crisis. It's about having those really important, respectful conversations now, so everyone's wishes are crystal clear way ahead of time. And really, the heart of this entire section comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea: the right to die with dignity. I mean, that's the bedrock, right? Everything else we're about to talk about is built right on top of that foundation. Okay, so that sounds good in theory, but how does it actually work? Well, it's a really clear four-step process. First, they discuss all the options: wills, medical treatment, you name it. Then, they actively assist the person in getting those plans set up. After that, they distribute copies to everyone who needs one, like guardians and coordinators. And finally, and this is key, they review those plans every single year. It's not a one and done kind of thing. Okay, so we've talked about planning ahead, but let's move on to what happens when a person actually passes away. Having a clear, respectful action plan is absolutely crucial for handling such a sensitive time with the professionalism and care it deserves. And take a look at this list of notifications. I mean, wow. It's not just about calling 911 in the family. We're talking about the program director, the physician, the case manager, even friends and community programs. It really shows you there's this whole coordinated network that respects every part of a person's life and connections. And it doesn't stop there. The plan gets super specific, outlining exactly how to handle things like burial arrangements based on what the person wanted. It covers all the documentation, the paperwork, and even what to do with personal belongings. Seriously, they leave no stone unturned. No detail is just left to chance. All right, let's switch gears for a second, because this is a big one. We've been talking a lot about end-of-life wishes, which is vital. But what about your rights while you're living? What about your choices day to day? What happens if you just flat out disagree with a decision being made about your care? And this is where we get into real empowerment. We're talking about your right to disagree. This isn't just a vague idea, it's a formal process that puts real power back in your hands when it comes to your care. It's pretty much the foundation of what they call person-centered care. And check this out. It's right there in the policy, plain as day. You have the right to dispute about any decision. That little sentence, it's a huge, powerful statement about your rights. So this whole idea is rooted in something called person-centered care. And the concept is actually pretty simple. It means you are an active partner in your own care, not just someone things happen to. Your values, your needs, your preferences, they're supposed to be the top priority. And this whole dispute process, that's the tool that makes sure those preferences are actually respected. So when can you actually use this right? Well, the policy gets really specific here. You can file a dispute if, say, you're found ineligible for services, or if your services get changed, reduced, or even cut off completely. These are real, concrete situations where your voice absolutely needs to be part of the conversation. Okay, so you've got the right and you know when to use it. But what do you actually do? What does that path to getting things sorted out look like? Let's break down the actual steps you can take to make sure you're heard. What's great is that the whole process is designed to be really user-friendly. You start by just stating your case to the director, you can talk to them or write it out, and get this, you're encouraged to bring someone along for support. You can share info that backs up your side of the story, and if things still aren't resolved, you can take it to the next level, an impartial decision maker who will review the whole thing. And maybe the most important part of all this is that you don't have to go it alone. The whole system is built knowing that, hey, you might need some backup, and it points you exactly where you need to go to find it. And here are just a few examples of the kind of help that's out there. We're talking about groups like Disability Law Colorado and the ARC. These are experts who can give you support and guide you through the whole thing. All right, so we've looked at end-of-life planning, and we've talked about how to resolve disagreements. Let's kind of zoom out now and see how all these nitty-gritty details actually create this bigger picture, this framework for care that's both clear and compassionate. I think this really sums it all up perfectly. On one side, without these clear policies, you've got confusion, uncertainty, just helplessness. But when you have them, the whole experience is transformed. You get clarity, you get empowerment, you get accountability, and at the end of the day, you get dignity.
So I guess the big question I want to leave you with is this. Are the policies that protect you or your loved ones this clear? Is there this level of empowerment? Because, it's a standard that's definitely worth asking for. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.